Okay, so as much as it was very clearly addressed, you know, it's not like I've prepared for this. So I quickly kind of compiled something for myself to talk about what I do in relation to what we did last night and a couple of days ago with the sound of, what was the name of our? Sound of tape ensemble, yeah. So first, I should talk about my experience with the ensemble, right? Is that right, Bani?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. I need to, you know, make sure. Okay, so of course, Bani asked me to do this, you know, and he asked me to do, you know, interesting here and there. And I almost never say no to what he asked me to do because it's very precious for me to do things that I haven't done. Huh? Okay, I'm not really using anything yet, but yeah. So yeah, and so when he asked me to do this facilitation, I really didn't know what he was talking about, even though he explained. But you know, and I trust him. So I found out about it, and it was to work with the musicians, I mean, the people that's never played music before. So non-professional, non-musician, nobody who is in the music industry. Actually, when we did open call, we found out actually two of them, one artist and one was in the film industry. So there was some knowledge about being artist and being around artists, but they have never actually made music or jam before. So it was quite interesting. But I also teach at La Salle, and some of the students, although they are supposed to be trained, they behave like they have never been played. I mean, it's a paradox because they're music students, but they behave like they've never, ever learn how to play music in the way that I think is music. So that probably explains maybe some of the way that music's being taught in a public school in Singapore, or maybe the exam system. And I don't want to go into that because it would be like a dissertation. Yeah, you know, it's not, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but it's just very different from where I come from. And I come from Japan, growing up in Singapore, still not conventional sometimes and conservative enough to be in this level of sort of very specific education. I came from a classical background, but I threw that away, you know, when I was much younger. And since then, I've been an improviser, jazz pianist, and all that stuff, which that's like my very sort of very organic state of my instrumentation of what I'm basically influenced by. You know, this is the kind of the music that I first identified myself as a professional musician, and just to let you hear the sound. This is in July, just passed. So I played jazz standard. And it was a program called Jazz in July. These are young Singaporean jazz musicians. Bear with me, so you get to hear the band. Yeah, so this is like very standard jazz, but I feel very, very comfortable doing this, and I feel extremely excited, and I'm completely in love with the music I'm playing, although I feel very incompetent most of the time. I enjoy it like, I don't even know how to explain. So that's the part of me that is very sort of very basic. My initial influence when I started to feel like I want to be professional, I wanted to become a jazz pianist or jazz musician, and I picked piano because I was just familiar with it. Okay, so I don't know if, I think it's, yeah, so that's my main influence, and actually I really love trumpet. Growing up in the 70s, I'm 45, and you know, growing up in the 70s means that, you know, whatever you hear on the TV or radio is played live and recorded live. So there's no sequencer. Maybe there's some synthesizers introduced, but that kind of explains because I love my Moog. My Moog is not a current Moog, it's the vintage. I keep playing that instrument because I just remember the texture of everything I heard when I was growing up. So I grew up listening to Japanese pop music with big bands, not really jazz, playing pop music, but you know, horns and then strings and stuff like that. So my ears are trained in a way to listen to this kind of complicated harmonic sound. And so, yeah, I guess that's probably why it led me to jazz. And here, a lot of texture and harmonic, complicated harmony, which to me is very natural, came natural. And I even though I'm not, I feel very close to the horn sound because of probably this kind of, you know, music program that I used to watch when I was younger. So, and then plus the influences coming from blues and gospel and soul music, which is quite unrelated to some of the things I do now, but I come from really feeling like I want to play like this, you know, kind of very organic passion, like, oh, I love it, how do I play it? And I try to figure it out without thinking about how exactly, and I just search and I find and then I just go there. So I'm a go-getter. So that's one big thing about me. And then also I came from brass band playing percussion instruments, so I'm very particular about rhythmic stuff. And to me, jazz, swing, and in conjunction with conversation. I mean, this might not look like conversation, but actually we are so responsive, just like how you were doing. We were doing it. I'm actually listening to him, Ben Paul, and Ben is kind of coordinating with Tingwei. And then Tingwei is listening to me directly, so he is very, this boy is really responsive. So he's 23, Ben is maybe 25 or something, and you know, they are extremely cooperative when I'm playing whatever I'm playing, but it's of course in the box of jazz, authentic swinging material, you know. So, okay, so that's one, and okay, so that's one, and then I also have this part of me that's just want to improvise, and as much as I love this kind of authentic jazz, which I have many different ways that I played jazz, as in the part of jazz that requires swinging and certain language. I go into a very free form, freestyle improvisation, and that's something that I feel like I want to do something different, and not to target the audience, but I want to play something I didn't play before. And so sometimes I will play single note on the piano, and I will try to go to the direction that I don't feel like I should. So I kind of, you know, constantly take the way that I've never taken, and then I improvise like that sometimes. But then I also let myself explore and experiment with mix that with my nostalgic memory about the sound I feel very attached to, including jazz and also some of the Japanese songs I grew up with, or some melody I heard on the street, you know, some commercial. So it's a chaos in a way. But and then also the way I experiment with the improvisation is that I don't want to sound like the experimental sound, which is sometimes very, when you say experimental music, it's like you expect it to sound like certain experimental music, which to me, the experiment comes from something that hasn't been done. So you actually experiment, and I might die after the experiment, but the act of experiment is that for me. So it's not about sounding like the experimental musicians that you like. That's not really my kind of experimental music. So my improvisation, and then I will just show you a clip of what I just did only a few weeks ago in Tokyo. And so it's actually a very, wait, ちょっと待ってね. Where is it? It's actually, what's that? Okay, so wait a minute. Is it me? Cinema. Cinema, ne? Oh, wait. Okay. Oh, that's my homework. Sorry. Yeah. Bani, am I okay? Yeah. Where is it? Okay. So this is another kind of improvisation that I do, not in a jazz context. And where is it? Okay. Okay. Where is the thing? Okay, so it's in Tokyo, Live House Akihabara Goodman, where I went back because one of my friends suddenly passed away, and the event he was supposed to perform, I want to fast forward. Why? Where is the thing to fast forward? Help me. Where is the... Okay, thank you. Okay, yeah. Thank you so much. No problem. Okay. So this is a friend of mine that I used to go to Berkeley with in the 90s, and we lived in New York, and we did a lot of projects, and we still connect. This Mika, this Japanese girl, we improvise without having any. And it goes on like that. Yeah, so I just, improvisation completely, but still have the way of sort of, there's something, I throw in some melodic stuff here and there, and then Mika also just plays along, and then we feed each other. Everything we do is conversation. So I converse in the jazz context, in the improvisation context. And also, there's another thing that I do here and there, which is I work with this performance artist called Angie Seah, Singaporean. And Angie makes me do funny things as well, like Bani. And, funny as in sometimes ha too, but like strange. And I feel very honored when I get asked to do this because, So this is what we did at the Goodman Arts Future of Imagination Performance Arts Festival. So that's me, and Angie is there. And there's a bunch of international performance artists come to Singapore for 3 days, 3 days, and showcase about 20 minutes of each work. So we are improvised, but actually she does have some kind of plan, and we follow it, but we don't follow as in, we don't decide exactly to the dot, just so we together create, I think, some kind of visual and sound. I wouldn't say effect, but it's more of experience for if we talk about the audience. So this collaboration that I do with Angie went on for maybe 3 years in different formats. We have different projects, and we spend about a month or half talking about it and working on it. And she uses water a lot, and she uses voice. So somehow our energy goes into back and forth. So that's another conversation. I think for me, conversation is very important, and so that's another way to do my experimental stuff. And so my overall style of music is really listening, because it's about conversation. If you can't really listen to the other person, it doesn't work. So when I play solo piano, I do that too. When I improv in solo piano without having any specific material, I actually do that kind of listening to myself, saying one phrase or what I just did, and I go on to the next note or sound, thinking about what I just told myself or something like that. So I need to detach myself, and I listen to myself, and also try to hear overall. I couldn't do that for years. I was just kind of, letting it out, and then see what people, react, and then I'm like, oh, okay, so it was good. But these days, these couple of years, I'm a bit more aware about being listener to myself as well. So this is the main activity I do. I also have a few different groups that I experiment or work with about composing music. I work with Michaela Therese, Tim Dakota, Theo Jaron. We write material, and then we actually really write sections, and we rehearse, and then we check the chords and make sure the vocal and chords are. And then so it's more very compositional project, as well as my other project called Naughty Nor Nice, which is a Christmas project I do with Joanna Dong and Mohamed Noor, where we just destroy the Christmas songs. She puts a new lyric to it, and it's a kind of mocking, but we're not really, making them uglier. It just, we feel like we need to break that kind of preconception about Christmas Carol being this way and that way, and we want to entertain ourselves, so we bring it to the audience what we think is funny. Weish knows, right? I think you are there, right? Yeah. So it's pretty hysterical, actually. So yeah, it's somewhere online. If I'm okay with the time, okay. So those are my music, and so yesterday when we are working on this Fancy Dawn project with non-musicians, I mean, I can quite detach myself, but what comes in as most important thing to work with the non-musicians or student who's totally not experienced about making music or not interested in listening is that I need to kind of put the explanation in the context of life and explain to them without sort of like, giving them example, not so much about music, but something that they might have experienced to get them engaged. So I do that a lot at school as well. And do I still have time? I'm okay? Okay. So those are the kind of the music I do. I have many other things. Bani actually put one project of mine, maybe I could speak about, which it's called Aya School, which when I was programming Blue Jazz, I started the music program. Somehow it came to me, this place called Blue Jazz in 2006, it looked good. So I said, can I talk to the manager? I feel like the live music should happen here. And she said, it's me, I'm the owner. So she's, okay, great, let's do it. Okay, go buy instrument, start. That's how the whole Blue Jazz the music scene started. And for 10 years, I worked there as a programmer. I just left the place in this April. My whole thing was I wanted to make sure this place is protected from being a popular music place where you book people because they're popular or because they have a lot of followers. For me, it was all about diversity, and then also breaking the preconception again, do things, and then also have a place that the pedestrian get to hear something that they have no way to listen when they're in their own comfortable zone. So I've done a lot of things at Blue Jazz where I just mix and match people, but a lot of thinking goes into my head. I did it every week, so it burned me out, and I was crying, and there's rashes and things. I mean, I went through a lot of things with Aya School, but I wanted to make an impact in the music scene and the society by mixing and matching the musicians that normally don't ever put things together. So, and then I had budget from Blue Jazz, so they're like, okay, here's the money, you play with these guys. And they can't really say no in Singapore. they appreciate the pay. So I was, using this budget to, so, and then after that, Observatory did something a little bit like that called Play Freely. That's I think I felt very close to that program because they were putting together people that would have never played and experienced. So that's a little bit of similar concept, I guess, to reaction. So I did that. Aya School. For me, another way of my artistic expression comes from programming. That I'm very passionate about programming and curating programs where, by doing it, I want to make a change. In this small music scene we have in Singapore, because I think, as much as I love so many people, I see a lot of struggle. I mean, I don't really have that kind of struggle because I came from outside, I'm like the resident Ammo. So I don't really have that, I've seen a lot of things, and that doesn't make me better, but I've just seen a lot because I'm older as well. So I feel like there's so much things that can be done in Singapore which is not being executed because everybody's not seeing it. So, in order for you to trust it, you have to experience it. So I wanted to experience it myself and then share with others so they can see like, oh, it can be done. So that's my really simple way of curating and programming, but I'm very specific about who plays with who, and then saying yes to the project that I think will make a difference, and saying absolutely no to the things that may contribute to something that push it backwards, step back. So I'm very conscious about that, and I hope everybody feel the same way after being so young and experimenting with everything that comes to you. I did that. I almost died, and then after I came back like Phoenix, I decided to be picky. So that's how I program, and then so I used to manage Blue Jazz music program, and then also now I'm taking care of this Club La Opera, very small acoustic venue with grand piano, and I'm trying to, protect and also develop the audience by, providing a very safe place to listen and then also play. So that's my main activity. Besides playing music, it's becoming like the main thing, and I'm a little bit sad that I'm not playing so much because of studying arts management and cultural policy in the master's degree at La Salle College of Music, all for music, because I want to make it, I really think there is a gap in the society in Singapore, and I think I can do something about it. So I'm researching, and I have just, also I do this activity by my small company called Bongu Music, but then I actually have just registered my own new non-profit organization called We Love Jazz, and that would create a new information center on and offline to have a big pot of jazz, everything under jazz. So it's not one person promote one person and then this person is good. The society can't see where jazz is. They only see like Aya Sekine here, Aya Sekine there. So where is jazz when government decided to cut all the funding for the arts? Okay, everybody, okay, you funded, right? Jazz, nobody there, right? Okay, good. So no more. Where's jazz? Here. So We Love Jazz is the big carpet that the jazz musician can fall onto, that is larger, because the music to me is larger. And then also, lastly, this is music is biological, which my professor, John Shapley, was composition professor. He's teaching at La Salle. It's amazing composer. He said that music is biological in my composition class. And when you think the music is biological, like as in food, you start to understand what you're doing to it. you know, when you think your instrument is alive, you know, when you hit the drums, like you want to, sometimes you want to spank somebody. So that's one way to give love, but, you know, what you listen, what you hear is what you know, so, you know, this biological growth of music and is, for me, is very important. This is my company motto, slogan. But anyway, so going back to the listening before I wrap it up, is it like 20 minutes?
Yeah, almost. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Wow, I'm doing well. Okay. So yeah, so I'm involved in a lot of things and I'm very driven. But I mean, I really am an artist and I need to reinforce this part. In order for me to do any of this, like master's degree and my company and organization, everything comes from to be free, to be an artist, to express without somebody's recognition. And I want to find a way so we can listen and then also express and then keep conversing with whoever, whatever, the future to the past. You know, I just think the creativity has to be really universal and it's for everybody. I found that out yesterday working with the ensemble, you know. They started to see the freedom of it. In the beginning, they really held back. So I was like, come on, man, you know, just push it. Like, do it a bit more than you think you can do, like, you know, which I always have done. Sometimes that gave me a problem, but in that safe situation that Bani is like manning, you know, there's like, this is this art is where you can actually experiment and you don't get hurt so much. You know, like with a relationship maybe, or with the work, you shouldn't do certain things, or like drugs, like this type of thing is maybe not, but for art, you should push and then try things that you've never done. And yeah, so I think it's really important to do that. And yeah, so yeah. And then also like Bani always say, asking why, yeah, why you do this and how come, this is really important. Like, but again, I say, when I was younger, I did everything. There was no why, just do. And, you know, so many problems happened, but I learned, at least I learned, right? So, yeah, I guess that's it.
Thank you.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Oh, okay.
Thanks, Aya. I think why and why not also.
Oh, why not? Yeah, why not? Yes, that's right. But these days, I feel like no is new yes. For some of the things, like saying no is saying yes to another good, like priority is very important. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks, Aya.